Once upon a time, in a land where the grass was always green and the flowers smelled oh so sweet, there lived a little tortoise named Theo. Theo was a happy little tortoise, but he had one big wish. He wanted to be fast. He watched the little rabbits zip and zoom around the meadow, and he envied their speed. He'd also noticed how the cheeky squirrels could easily outpace him. "Oh, how I wish I could be fast," he often sighed. One day, Theo decided he'd had enough of being slow. He was determined to be the fastest animal in the meadow, even if it meant breaking his own shell. Trying. He started to run as hard as he could, but after a few steps, he began to stumble and wobble. His little legs were wobbling so hard that his eyes popped out of their sockets. "I'm going too fast," he cried, slowing down to a stop. He shook his head to make his eyes go back into their sockets and looked around. "Maybe I don't need to go fast," he thought. "Maybe I can win a race." So Theo set off toward the big apple tree on the other side of the meadow. He'd seen the rabbits racing around it just last week, and if they could do it, so could he. He rushed off as fast as he could, but soon he bumped into a bush and stumbled. Then he tumbled down a small hill and landed with a thud at the bottom. To make matters worse, he rolled over and over until he came to a stop at the prickly bramble bush. "Oh no!" he cried, for he knew that if he couldn't free himself from the thorns, he'd never get to the apple tree. So he began to carefully pull his legs out of the brambles. But it took him so long that he began to feel tired and defeated. And when he finally pulled himself out of the bushes, he realized that he still had a long way to go before he reached his goal. Just then, a wise old snail named Solomon slowly slid by. He'd been watching Theo from afar and felt sorry for him. "Little tortoise," he said kindly, "why are you in such a hurry?" Theo explained to Solomon about his big race to the apple tree, and the wise snail shook his head slowly. "Little tortoise," he said, "you're taking the longest way around. If you want to get to the apple tree, you should go this way." Solomon pointed with his ice stalk toward a barely noticeable path between the tall grass. At first, Theo didn't want to listen to the snail. He was sure that he could get to the apple tree faster than Solomon, but after resting a while, Theo decided he had nothing to lose. So he followed the snail's directions and began walking along the narrow path. He was surprised to find that it was much shorter than he expected, and soon he found himself strolling through a field of sweet-smelling clover. As Theo ambled along, he noticed a beautiful butterfly fluttering from flower to flower. Instead of rushing past like he'd done earlier, he stopped to watch it for a moment. Then he continued on his way, feeling calm and happy. And before long, he reached the apple tree. When he told the other animals about his adventure, they all nodded wisely. "It's not about how fast you go," said one rabbit. "It's about enjoying the journey." The squirrel added, "Being in a hurry doesn't help anyone." And the wise old owl hooted, "Sometimes the slowest path is the fastest way to get somewhere." From that day on, Theo was no longer a tortoise in a hurry. He'd learned that it's not always important to be the fastest. He'd discovered that a steady pace can help you reach your goals. And most importantly, he learned to appreciate the beauty of the world around him. For what good is reaching your goal? He thought, if you're too busy to enjoy the wonderful things along the way,